Hey everybody, want to share a recent build. This is my wife's 2022 Stumpjumper S-Works. It's the carbon frame that I built up with components from her previous Stumpjumper, as well as a handful of new components that were required to put this thing together. So as I'm editing these videos, I just have to stop and just say, one, it is totally amazing that I get out to ride with my wife and to see her grow into the sport as well. She's not, quite as into it as I am, but I can get out and ride with her on the blues and have a great time. So with that, with her old bike, the 2019 Stumpjumper, it was heavy. It was like, 33, 34 pounds. And I knew how much of a difference it makes riding some of these trails uh, on a carbon Stumpjumper. So that's really what I wanted to do for her, was make her experience as good as it possibly could be. And that's why I built this S-Works bike for her as a surprise. I was lucky enough to reuse a number of components from her old bike, as well as a couple other parts that I just happened to have lying around to keep the cost down on this. I think I was able to get close to $2,000 for her 2019 Stumpjumper alloy comp, which helped offset the cost of this substantially. And she's still getting used to it. It is an adjustment coming from that bike to this one. And, she's still kind of dialing it in herself and telling me what she likes and what she doesn't like. And I'm trying to work with her to make it perfect, because, this bike has got to be probably 27, 28 pounds, where her alloy comp was 33, 34 pounds almost. So substantially lighter. And that translates to a lot on the trail. So let's start with the frame, right? So the carbon Stumpjumper and the carbon Stumpjumper S-Works frames are identical, with the exception of two different pieces. One is the Kashima coated Fox float shock, which provides 130 millimeters of rear travel, and this yoke, which is carbon fiber. Everything else is the same, but you do get that S-Works logo on the side, whereas the normal Stumpjumpers, I believe it says Stumpjumper here, and maybe that's about it. Okay, so 140 millimeters rear travel, 130 millimeters, I'm sorry, rear travel, and the front is designed for 140. So if you go to a shop and you buy a Stumpjumper, you'll get 140 in the front, but it will support 150. This is a 140 millimeter RockShox Pike RC 2.1 ever upgrade. And this came off of my own personal Stumpjumper, and this is a really nice, buttery smooth fork. So I decided, she's going to get a good frame. She's also going to get a really good fork to go along with it. I got to believe that not only does the bike have to ride really well, but it also has to look good. You got to personalize it. It's got to look like you. It's got to feel like you. And that's where we went with this purple theme to go over the dusty blue pearl frame color, which, depending on the light, looks a little bit purple, looks a little bit blue, looks a little bit matte. And if it gets wet, it looks pretty glossy in areas. So it's a really cool frame color. It's just tricky to capture, on video. Hopefully this does well. So yeah, playing with the purple, we went with the E13 cassette in the rear. So it's got a wide range of gear. I believe that it's the lowest cog, or the smallest is a 9-tooth. And then the top, I want to say, is like a 50. There it is, 9 to 50. Right there, you've seen it. And then up front, we've got the Ergon GA3s with the mini wing. On the other side, we've got the PNW remote lever. I think they call it the Fruit Snacks color in purple. It's not a perfect match. It's a little bit brighter than the Ergon grips. I'm not sure if that shows up on video that well. And then moving toward the front, we've got some decals on our RockShox Pike, which is right here. I forget the place I got these. I want to say it was Slick Graphics, perhaps. And then down the side, running that kind of oil slick look. Now, my wife is only 5'2", which is why I opted for the shorter 165 millimeter crank and the 120 millimeter dropper post. Starting with the wheel set and the cassette. The wheels are just standard issue, specialized Roval Traverse alloy wheels with the ground control, specialized ground control tire in the rear with an eliminator in the front. It's a 2.35 grid soil searching front and rear. I think the front's actually a 2.3, not a 2.35. So eliminator up front, ground control in the back here for the mid-Atlantic trails. It has the XD driver, so I went with the E13 cassette in this purple. And originally it had a GX AXS derailleur and shifter, but after a couple rides, she decided she did not like the electronic shifting. So I tossed on this XT rear derailleur from my carbon Stumpjumper's original build. Up front is 165 millimeter GX, SRAM GX Eagle cranks with their 32 tooth sprocket. I believe it's 32 tooth. Yeah, 32 tooth chain ring. And this chain is also a SRAM GX chain. Going from the GX AXS derailleur to this, I did have to trim, I believe, 2 links off of this chain. So that was interesting. It wasn't quite as quick, straightforward swap over to the XT derailleur as I had hoped. All right, so pedals. These are just some composite fixation. I believe they're called the Sub-Zero pedals. These were also off of her old Evo. Sorry, not Evo. Her 27.5 alloy Stumpjumper that she had. She had a 2019. So this is probably a good point to make. This bike was built up to replace her 2019 Stumpjumper comp, which was a 27.5. So some components here were carryovers from that bike, including the crankset and the pedals. Okay, what's up? Let's go to the saddle and everything. This is the WTB Volt in a titanium rail. She had the specialized power comp. She did not like that, so she's giving this a try now. This also was one of my seats, so she's gonna hopefully she should like this one a lot better. It's got a 1-up 120 dropper on there that did have a wolf tooth dropper lever, but she wanted to try this P&W Gen 2 lever out. So this is their, I believe they call it Fruit Snacks color. That purple, P&W calls it Fruit Snacks now. So we got that going on. And then we've got some Ergon. I believe these are the GA3 grips. They're the ones with the small wings for a little bit of, you know, comfort there to help with numbness and just kind of control. I run these on my bikes also. So those are also carried over from her previous Stumpjumper build. Brakes are the SRAM G2s RSs. They are 4-piston. I'm running a 200 rotor up front and a 180 in the back. So it gets the stopping done. She's not a super aggressive rider. So these work out really well for her, and she likes the feel. She's just familiar with it from SRAM's guide that were on her other Stumpjumper. All right, we've got just your basic specialized stem. It's got a DD Black Label 38 millimeter riser bar on there. So she's 5'2", and this frame is a S2. The other frame was a men's small. So just looking at the numbers, reach and everything, this seemed to be the right size frame, but I did want to give her more of an upright, comfortable position because new bikes are a little bit longer, a little bit lower, and slacker. So I kept the 38 millimeter riser bar on there to give her the most amount of comfort and control when it does get a little bit rowdy going down hills. So I mentioned she didn't like the GX shifter, so I've gone ahead and replaced that with the XTR. So we got XTR shifter and the XT rear derailleur. So if she doesn't like this, I don't know, guys. Probably the biggest thing if you're going to be building up a bike, especially a full suspension, is to dial in the dampening. So it is set for her rider weight, which makes a huge difference for the shock and the front fork to get that sag correct, to get this bike feeling, you know, any bike feeling as optimal as it can. Beyond that, you also want to check out the recommended compression and rebound settings on the fork and shock, just to get a good, you know, base point to go with and then adjust later. So that's it, guys. That is the build. Hopefully with the change to the mechanical shifter and the saddle swap, she'll be a happy rider. That's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, if there's something that I missed. If you have any questions for me, there it is. Thanks, everybody. Catch you later.